Good afternoon, Western Washington, and happy Monday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather, and today we're going to take a look at the bomb cyclone that is intensifying off our coast and all of the systems that are going to be moving through over the next few days. So right now we're taking a look here at the satellite imagery, and you can see this cyclone starting to develop off the coast. It's getting pretty powerful here, and you can see it's moving almost directly northward, and it's going to end up somewhere between Vancouver Island here and Haida Gwaii, which is off the screen here. You can see it's spreading clouds across Western Washington, and soon will be bringing rain. This will bring a strong pressure gradient between the storm offshore and parts of eastern Washington, bringing a large gradient across the Cascades, bringing some gap winds, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So let's take a look at that here. You can see the storm intensifying offshore, dropping all the way down to about 961 millibars, which is pretty deep. And then you can see here we have this gradient of pressure across the Cascades, which is going to angle these gap winds, these downslope gap winds, from blowing out of the southeast, and they will be strong across parts of the foothills, parts of the northwest interior, and along the strait. As that storm moves north, we will have a very brief break before the next round of rain moves in on Christmas Day there, and you can see as this rain moves through, we will also be having these systems starting to spin up here. Take a look at like some of these here that the Euro model is showing. You have these little lows that are moving right into the Washington coast, and if you get, these are really worth watching because what happens with these lows is they can produce a large pressure gradient that can bring strong winds to the interior and to the coast, and you see we have multiple here. This is another one early Friday morning, and then after that we have a third one that moves in Saturday morning. So there's a few potentials for winds that could be potentially strong for some parts of Western Washington. So we definitely have to keep that in mind, especially from Christmas onward. Taking a look at precipitation, you can see here this storm brings in, bomb cyclone brings in precipitation by this evening, continuing at times into Tuesday afternoon there, turning more showery. That brings some mountain snow as well. Then we have a brief break in those showers before our next system moves in. We should have a dry Christmas morning for the lowlands, and then our next system moves in with a lot of rain on Christmas afternoon there, with rain continuing through into early Thursday morning, and that continues with it turning a little bit more showery by Thursday afternoon, and then the next system moves in with more heavy rain through Friday morning and into Friday afternoon before another system moves in, bringing rain Saturday morning through Saturday afternoon, and we will actually have one more system, it looks like, moving through on next Sunday, and then we will hopefully start to dry out after that. So we have a lot of rain coming up. Taking a look here now at the wind we're expecting tonight, we have the Euro model on the left and the NAM higher resolution model on the right. And what we're looking at here is those gap winds, these winds coming out of the gaps in the Cascades. They are looking to be strongest around North Bend and from Auburn and Kent northward. You can see here the Euro model shows gusts of 35 to 40 miles per hour for areas like SeaTac and Renton and Kent and Seattle and Everett, and then more strong offshore winds over parts of the northwest interior, including Island and San Juan counties and parts of British Columbia there on Vancouver Island, and then strong southerlies on the coast. And then take a look here around North Bend, gusts potentially over 50 miles per hour with these gap winds. But when we look at a higher resolution forecast, this is a NAM model, and it's actually been doing quite well over the last few storms here. You can see the sharp cutoff in the gap winds and this shadowed area between SeaTac Airport there and Tacoma. That's due to Mount Rainier, which is right here. Mount Rainier causes a wind shadow and shelters a lot of areas like Tacoma and Puyallup and Federal Way and Auburn from these gap winds. However, just to the north in places like Renton and Seattle, you're gonna have offshore gusts of 40 to 45 miles per hour, including up toward Everett and parts of Snohomish County, and then the NAM is showing this strong area of offshore winds gusting near 60 miles an hour for Sequim and Dungeness Spit there up toward Victoria, BC, parts of the San Juans. And take a look at the foothills here. You can see these gusts of 50 plus miles per hour out of the southeast, extending all the way out on I-90 toward Bellevue there in North Bend, likely near 55 to 60 miles per hour. So this is the higher end setup, but this is definitely possible. Peak gap winds are going to be late this evening into early Tuesday morning, and these will potentially bring tree damage and power outages, although it's worth noting not nearly as bad not even on the same level as the bomb cyclone in November. However, these winds will still be strong. You can also see the NAM model showing southerly winds here of 40 plus miles per hour from Tacoma southward, and then on the coast, gusts of 50 plus miles per hour. But the biggest threat for wind damage is there along I-90 and in parts of the Cascade foothills up into Snohomish County. And again, that is overnight tonight into early Tuesday morning. Now let's take a look at the rain forecast. So as we go through this afternoon, you can see that rain starts to move in by late tonight. We're looking about 8 to 9 p.m. here. You can see rain and mountain snow. You can see some of the rain kind of gets eaten up there by some of those gap winds. And then you can see as we go into early Tuesday morning, we have steady rain continuing, some mountain snow all the way into early Tuesday morning, about 7 a.m. there, before it turns showery, and we have some areas of showers, maybe heavy at times, moving through on Christmas Eve, and maybe a couple convergence zone bands possible as well, before our next system starts to move in there by early on Christmas there. You can see by the time we get to about 8 a.m., we have rain across most of the coast on Christmas there, and that rain reaches the lowlands by around 10 to 11 a.m., and that is our next system. This will have a lot more moisture than the one we're experiencing here Monday and Tuesday. So how much rain are we expecting? Well, this is the National Blend of Models. This is a pretty good forecast with some high resolution. As we play this all the way, let's go through Tuesday morning here. We're going to stop this around midday Tuesday. You can see a quarter of an inch to a third of an inch for parts of the southwest interior and the typical rain shadow north of the Olympic Peninsula. And then you can see the Seattle area here likely getting up to a half inch of rain. The coast, similar amounts. But take a look as we go through Christmas Eve. And our next system moves in on Christmas morning there. By the end of the day on Christmas, total rain is over an inch. And you can see as we just keep going all the way through the end of this week, I'm going to stop this at Saturday night. You can see huge amounts of rain this week. For most of western Washington, coast getting 4 to 5 inches. You can see the lowlands here getting anywhere from 2.5 to 4 inches there, up to 5 to 6 inches on the Kitsap Peninsula. Even the areas in the rain shadow like Whidbey Island and some of the San Juans get over 1.5 inches of rain. So there's a lot of rain coming up, and if we keep playing this through all the way to the end of the year, you can see that as we get to the end of the year there, Tuesday, the 31st, around 10 p.m., you can see rain totals of 4+ inches for most of the Seattle area, 2 to 3 inches north of Everett, and then 6+ inches on the coast. So just huge amounts of rain coming up over the next week or so. And then also taking a look at snow here. As we go through with this system, it's not going to be a huge snowmaker. You can see as we play this through to about 10 a.m. midday tomorrow, you can see only about 1 inch or so at Snoqualmie Pass, 2 inches at Stevens. As we go into Christmas, though, let's put this all the way to now we're at Friday morning. So by Friday morning, so a lot of this post-Christmas travel could be impacted by snow, especially across Stevens Pass there. So big heads up if you're going to Leavenworth for Christmas. By about a day after Christmas, Stevens Pass will get nearly 2 feet of snow. You can see up to 10 inches there at Snoqualmie Pass. And as we keep playing this through to the end of the year here, you can see by the 31st, we're looking at about 2 feet of snow at Snoqualmie Pass, nearly 4 feet at Stevens and White Pass there. So there's going to be a lot of snow over the next few days here, over the next week or so. And it will be less at Snoqualmie Pass than Stevens and White Passes. However, Snoqualmie Pass does have potential to get more than 2 feet of snow over the next week. So stay tuned for more on the rain and snow amounts. Now, I want to take a look at this as well. Another thing that's going on with all these storms moving through, we're going to have some big waves offshore. You can see the bomb cyclone here generates some big waves that move into parts of northern Washington on Tuesday there. We have a little bit of a break there until we get to Christmas night. You can see big waves off the Oregon coast continuing on to the 26th there, Thursday. And then as we go into Friday and Saturday, you can see another round of big waves moving in Saturday morning onto the Washington coast before we do get a break that really we should calm down through the end of the year there. But the next few days we'll have sustained big waves across the whole of the Pacific Northwest coast with beach erosion, sneaker waves, and all of those hazards possible. So please be careful if you're out there watching the waves. It's very cool, but it also can be very dangerous. Now I want to take a look at the ensembles here. So we're looking at the European model ensemble. I talked about this yesterday. We have the control run, and then it runs 50 variations of that to get a good look at the forecast and try to find a consensus. You can see we're looking at CTAC here, and tonight we have some pretty good agreement on these gap winds. You can see there is still some discrepancies with some forecasts showing more toward 30 miles per hour and some showing near 50. 40 miles an hour or so is a good bet for SeaTac Airport. But then as you look over these next few days here, you can see some of these higher amounts, these oranges or 50 plus miles per hour, kind of scattered throughout these next couple days with a few storms possible. So there's a lot of disagreement in the forecast of what exactly is going to happen from Christmas onward in terms of wind. There's a little bit more agreement if you take a look out here at Hoquiam. You can see lesser winds tonight with the offshore winds. They're only gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour. But take a look at some of these numbers showing up here for Hoquiam. Anything red is 60 plus miles per hour, and you can see there's a lot more high wind for Hoquiam than there is for SeaTac Airport, as you would expect being on the coast here in Hoquiam. However, you still see that trend of there being a lot of disagreement. There's not really a good consensus yet on what's going to happen, so that means there's going to be a lot of watching the forecast models and nowcasting, as we call it, trying to predict what exactly is going to happen within a short time. Now, taking a look at the rain here on the ensembles as well, you can see we have a pretty good chance of over an inch of rain in 24 hours, potentially a long period of heavy rain, basically from Christmas night all the way through the 29th or so, so that would be through next Sunday. And this is pretty good agreement in all of the ensembles that we're going to have a lot of heavy rain here at SeaTac. You take a look at Hoquiam, you're looking at nearly 2 inches in 24-hour period, and that could continue basically from Thursday all the way through Sunday. And really good agreement on that as well. And of course, as you'd expect, as we have rain in the lowlands, that'll be snow in the mountains. You can take a look at Snoqualmie Pass here. You can see over a foot of snow for a 24-hour period, and that continues basically again from Thursday all the way through Sunday. Pretty good agreement on a lot of snow over the passes. So if you are traveling back from Eastern Washington for Christmas, it would be best to do that as soon as you can after Christmas before these big snow amounts start going. And if you take a look here at a higher elevation, here's Paradise on Mount Rainier, you can see those snow amounts are going to be nearly 2 feet in a 24-hour period there, and really good agreement on some huge snow at Paradise. They'll likely see 5+ feet over the next week or so. So basically, there's a lot of weather coming in. We have the gap winds tonight and then rain, and then we have just a ton of activity from Christmas onward for the next 4+ days after Christmas there, and a lot of uncertainty, especially in regards to wind. We're pretty certain that there's going to be a lot of rain and a lot of snow across western Washington, but the wind is uncertain as these lows go onto the coast. That just a small difference in placement of these lows can bring big differences in wind. So if you want to stay updated on that, be sure to subscribe to me here on YouTube, join my Western Washington Weather Facebook group, follow me on Blue Sky, and follow me on Twitter, and these 3 links are in the description below, so go and check those out, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.